What's going on, box fans? John Williams with The Distance. As you can tell right now, I'm in my car. I'm actually about to go back to school to get some help on some work or whatever. So I'm just gonna post my videos right now, and then head to school and come back and maybe post another one if I get back in time. But anyway, on to my next heavyweight for my new series. My number 4 heavyweight is George Foreman. I have George Foreman above Tyson and above Frazier for a reason. Because George Foreman gave trouble to just about as well give trouble to just about every opponent on my list. And on top of that, George Foreman single-handedly, crushed Joe Frazier in the first bout. And my number 9, who is Ken Norton, easily defeated him as well. So I'm not going by punching power or anything, because if I went by punching power, I would have to put Ernie Shavers number 1 on my list. But everything is, going by what I think, is overall skill and technique and all that. But I'm going to choose George Foreman as my number 4 because there was just something about him that just made me put him at number 4. I think maybe it was because pretty much the reign of terror he had. That I'd say, George Foreman fought really big, fought his size, and if you look at his first matchup with George Chuvalo, he was actually boxing with him. He was actually on his toes, and this is very early in his career, and he had that sledgehammer left jab, and I'm talking about his first part of his career. He was scary. He was intimidating, and it would scare the hell out of his opponents, because if you look at some of his stare downs, you could get scared looking at the stare downs and or feel sorry for the man in front of him. But George Foreman, he in 2 rounds did something that Muhammad Ali couldn't do. He got rid of Joe Frazier in 2 rounds, and Ali actually couldn't knock him out until maybe the 3rd matchup, and he didn't necessarily knock him out. They stopped the fight in that matchup. But George Foreman pretty much easily disposed of Joe Frazier, who's my number 6. So I have to put him up at number 4 just because of that. Now see, Mike Tyson would cause Foreman some trouble. So would Marciano, I think, because Marciano was gonna throw bombs, and Marciano's my number 8. But Joe Frazier didn't give Foreman any trouble, so I'm gonna have to put Foreman my number 4. And he did have that loss to Muhammad Ali with the rope-a-dope when he came off the ropes in like the 8th round and knocked him out. But just look at his record before Ali. Look at what he did to Foreman. Look at what he did to Norton. He got rid of Frazier. That's it. Look what he did to Frazier, excuse me, and look what he did to Norton. And both of these guys are top heavyweights. These guys are Hall of Famers as well. So, and really the only Hall of Famer in his first era, in his first career that he didn't defeat, was Muhammad Ali. And then, but see, I guess what happened to him after the first Ali matchup, what happened was, well, it was similar to what I talked about yesterday with Jermaine Taylor. He kind of lost that confidence. And when you lose confidence, it's dangerous. And he realized that, and he quit, because he suffered a loss to Jimmy Young at the end of his first career. And, he came back in 1987 and stuff. But, see, what I like about George Foreman was the fact that he could just easily walk down opponents. He used his size, his strength, and his punching power to get rid of his opponents, and he did it easily. And Foreman was just scary. If you look at some of his knockouts, you could never believe, a man would be that strong. He had the power. If any of you guys seen that movie Friday, it was the one scene when Debo hit Red, and Red was in the air flying and stuff. When I watched the Frazier fight, I sometimes think that Foreman has the power to do that back then, and he just walked down his opponents and would just knock them out left and right, and that was his first career, before the first retirement. And he lost focus, he lost his confidence after the Ali fight, and he had the matchup with Ron Lyle, and then the next matchup with Frazier was actually competitive. This isn't the same man that years before easily knocked out Frazier in 2 rounds and knocked him down 6 times. This was a different person. The loss to Ali was humbling. So, that was the end of his first career as a boxer. And then the second attempt came, and he was about 37 years old. He came back, won the title again. And based on that, winning the title at 45 in the deep heavyweight division at that time, that makes him my number 4 as well. And see, in the 90s, you had some really good heavyweights in the 90s as well. You had Holyfield, you had Morrison, Cooper, you had McCall. All these guys were winning belts, and a couple of these guys were just tireless, but the heavyweight division was deep back then, and Foreman was able to win the belt from Michael Moore when and a lot of people who watched this match remember he set him up with that left hand and hit him with the right cross through his guards. Just all of a sudden he was out. But I always that's what I'm basing this on. He had 2 careers basically, and as a boxer, and along with being a boxer, he was able to do other stuff outside the sport. He was a businessman, he was a minister, so along with that stuff, he was able to transcend the sport, and on top of that, he was a vicious boxer in his first reign. Second reign wasn't as vicious, but he was able to win the title in a deep heavyweight division. And I think with Foreman, it was right place at the right time. Lewis just got knocked out. Tyson was in prison. So why not give Foreman a chance at the belt again? And his career ended with a loss to Shannon Briggs. And I never seen the matchup, but it was a loss to Shannon Briggs. People will debate it to this day, but Foreman's my number 4, and just based on career, not more in career accomplishments, but he was actually smarter than a lot of people thought he was. He was a smart fighter, and he wasn't one-dimensional and slow. He actually knew how to set you up with his punches. So anyway, I got George Foreman my number 4. I kind of jumbled everything together and stuff. Sorry about that for the rambling, but George Foreman's my number 4. I'll be back tomorrow with number 3. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for the feedback for my heavyweight videos, or my first heavyweight video. Thanks for the feedback for that. I appreciate it. But anyway, that was The Distance. Peace.